I'm Estelle Godlewski, your emotional support American abroad, and I've moved abroad 3 times in the last 12 years. This is How to Move Abroad for people who don't need more inspiration, they need an actual decision and a checklist. Each week, I cut through the internet noise and walk you through the stuff that actually decides whether this happens or not. Every episode ends with a weekly task because collecting information isn't progress, and someday isn't a strategy. Let's get into it. Hi there, friend. Quick note before we get into it. Abroadly Speaking has a brand new name. You probably saw it in your feed. It's now How to Move Abroad. It's the same show, the same feed, the same me that we've always had. I just got tired of pretending that we're here only to chat about life abroad when you actually need the details of how the hell to get out. So here's how this is going to work now going forward. Every episode ends with one weekly task for you to do. It's not homework. It's not a personality test, but it is one thing for you to do so you're not still thinking about it a year from now. So let's get into it. Today's topic is about the thing that keeps so many of you stuck, and I want to make sure that you find the way forward, and that is the 47 tab spiral that we talk about all the time. Let's just say this out loud. The internet has turned moving abroad into a lifestyle aesthetic instead of a project, and it's absolutely not your fault. It's totally the system of moving. The system rewards you for consuming, not for deciding. So you end up with 50 different saved reels and 6 country shortlists, 3 different best visa blog options, a Reddit thread that convinced you it's completely impossible, and a half-formed plan that lives entirely in your notes app and, well, doesn't actually get you anywhere. And you tell yourself you're being responsible. But here's where I think we really need to break this down. A lot of research is just anxiety with a Wi-Fi connection because research feels productive and it protects you from disappointment. You don't have to commit to anything. You don't have to tell your family. You don't have to pick a path. You don't have to look at your budget and feel feelings. You can just keep reading stuff. And if you're listening to this, you're probably absolutely actually not a lazy person. You're a high functioning adult with a job and responsibilities and maybe kids and maybe a partner and maybe a nervous system that has been through it this last few years. So of course you want certainty, but the internet sells certainty and delivers confusion, which is the whole point of this podcast. We're going to stop doing that because I don't believe in that shit. I know you need to get out, you want to get out, and I want to make sure that we figure it out. And a lot of you aren't moving abroad right now because it sounds like fun. You're moving because you're tired, because you don't feel safe, because you don't trust what's coming next, because you're wanting a culture shift and you're like, I don't want to raise my kids here anymore, because healthcare is a financial threat that we're all buried under, and because you don't want to spend the next decade white-knuckling your way through life. And when the stakes feel high, the brain gets louder. It turns every decision into, oh my God, what if we're picking wrong? Or if we're feeling like we're jumping from the fire pan into the fire. So you seek more information. And I get it. I do. I promise. But here's what I want you to borrow from me for a second. I'm giving this to you because I think all of you need it. You don't need more information. You need an order of operations. You need a checklist, a way to do things. Because when you know the order, you can stop spiraling. The order is not pick a country and manifest. The order is pick constraints. Pick a visa lane, pick a timeline, build a budget range, and then the countries fall out of that like math. It's not about the vibes. It's not about what looks the best on Instagram. It's about what you can actually do to get abroad. So let's talk about the most common of the 47 tab spirals that we all get into. You start with, well, where should I move? Which sounds reasonable until you realize you're asking the internet to choose your life. And the internet responds with Spain, Portugal, Italy, Costa Rica. Have you considered Malta yet? And then you're like, great, now I'm overwhelmed and I'm literally learning nothing. Fantastic. Because where should we move is not the real question. The real questions are, where can we legally live? Where can we afford to live? Where can we sustain life when the novelty wears off? What kind of move is this? Is it temporary, testing, long-term? What do we actually need to feel safe and stable? These are the questions that you have to ask yourself, especially when we're being adulting here, which is not as fun, I know, but it gets the results. And honestly, it gets you abroad. So here's what I'm doing differently now that we're in How to Move Abroad and not Abroadly Speaking. I'm going to stop treating this like a content podcast and start treating it like a plan building tool for you. I'm going to give you one weekly task at the end of each episode, something you can do in real life to get you abroad. And each episode is going to build on the last one. So if you follow along, you end up with a plan at the end. That's it. There'll be the occasional inspirational monologue because, well, we all need a little inspiration sometimes. But it's not just believe in yourself. We're going to do the logistics because the dream is not the problem. The lack of planning is the problem for you. There are 3 kinds of 47 tab people, and you get to choose which one you're in. And I'm going to guess that you're probably one of these 3. Type 1 is the visa spiraler. You keep reading visa pages and you're like, I don't understand any of this. I need a job. I need money. I need citizenship. I need a miracle. I need a husband that lives in Portugal and a third party. You don't need that. You do not need a miracle. You need to choose a lane and stop trying to understand every visa in every country at once because most of them are just not applicable to you. Type 2 of the 47 tab spiralers are the money spiralers. These are the people that keep trying to figure out how much does it cost, and you keep getting numbers that are either wildly unrealistic or written by someone selling something or not relevant to your actual situation in any way, shape, or form. You don't need a single number. You need a budget range, a timeline, a strategy, and you need to know your visa so you can determine all of that. The third type of person is the country spiraler. And I love this person because it's the person who has all the dreams in the world, but no actual plans. Because you keep choosing countries like you're shopping for a personality. Which one is me? Which one feels right? Which one is safest? Which one is cheapest? Which one has the best spread? This is totally normal and actually where most people get started. It's also the fastest way to literally do nothing at all. So today's weekly task is designed for you to kill all 3 spirals at once and actually start getting yourself abroad. So here's the moment where listening turns into progress. If you do nothing after this episode, you will feel better for about 20 minutes, and then you're going to open your tabs and start over again. So let's not do that. Let's do a task. And if you can, do it today while you still have the energy. It's simple. It's 1 page. It'll take you 30 minutes tops, less than the length of this episode, I'm guessing. Your weekly task this week is the foundation for everything we're going to do next. And over the next several weeks, we're going to take these and we're going to take step after step after step and actually get you abroad. So I need you to open a document, whether it's on Google Docs or it's in your phone, in your notes app, whatever it is, open it and title it My Move. We're going to have a few steps here and come back to this when you have time to do it, or take notes and then go back and do it later. But your first step in your My Move is the non-negotiables. These are the if it's not true, we're not doing it constraints. So these are the non-negotiables of your move. What must you absolutely have to move? And it doesn't necessarily mean visa, blah, 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 blah. It means you need to be able to have these things before you would even start considering looking at visas, looking at countries, looking at the move overall. So examples could be, it must feel safe for my family or my kid. You must have a path to residency long-term. You must have healthcare we can access without financial terrorism. It must allow me to work remotely or have self-employment if that's applicable to you. It must fit in with a monthly budget range that I can afford. I have some savings, but I'm not going to find a job right away. It must have schooling options we can live with if that's relevant. It must be stable enough that we can breathe. It must have, for example, LGBTQ rights that work for my family situation. It must have English. It must have a foreign language, whatever that is for you. I don't know what's right for you and for your family. I'm trying to give you a bunch of different examples, but pick 3 of those that are absolutely must-haves. Deal breakers for you. These are not like, ooh, nice, I would like to have them. I'm talking about the absolute deal breakers that start and stop the process. If you don't have them, you cannot move. And I'm not talking about money. We'll figure that out later. I'm talking about the foundational below the money, below the visa, below the process. What does that look like for you? Once you pick those 3 non-negotiables, we need to talk about deal breakers. These are the hard no lines. These are things like, it cannot require me to be fluent before I arrive. I cannot require a huge lump sum we don't have. It can't have a timeline that's purely luck-based and it has 2 Tuesdays of next month that we need. It cannot require us to be separated as a family. It cannot depend on we'll figure it out later or something high stakes. It can't depend on me not having children because I do. It cannot depend on my partner having a job because that's not going to happen. Whatever that is, those things that it cannot depend on for you, those pick 3 at most. Start with that. So you have first your non-negotiables. What must you have? Part 2 is your deal breakers, what it must not have. And then your third stop is your visa lanes. These, again, are not the countries. We're not there yet. We're picking 3 categories we're willing to seriously explore here. These aren't, and we'll talk about this next week, what some different visa types are, because it's not just about landing a job and moving. There are other types of visas that you can look into that can help you actually get yourself out. So you can look at 3 categories. that you're reasonably willing to explore. That might be work sponsorship. That might be student. That might be freelancer. That might be proof of funds. That might be ancestry, special programs. You don't have to pick this week because we're going to go into more details next week about this. So I want you to already have this prepared for yourself. We are not there yet, but put that on your list. Put that on your document that we're going to revisit regularly. Here's where we're going to go. But whatever you're looking at, we'll talk about these a little bit more detail next week, but pick 3 that you kind of want to know a little bit more about that might work for you and that could fit for you to move abroad in the next 12 months or so. What we'll do next week with more details is we're going to pick one lane to start researching. So this week, we're going to lay off of Google for a little while because honestly, you're probably tired of Google. The 47 tab spiral needs to stop. So we're going to reset. And I know most of us are like, woohoo, we should have reset January 1st. Yeah, we could have, should have, would have. But now it's January 19th and we're going to do it anyway. Okay. So next week, we're going to look at visas more detail. And we're going to pick one lane that works right now, that's most realistic, the least dependent on miracles, and that fits your current life. And then over that time, once you have your non-negotiables and your absolute must-haves, and then we can start looking at visas. Then we're going to start additional actions. That's when we're going to start looking up requirements. That's where we're going to run our income numbers. That's when we're going to make a document list and start requesting stuff. And we're going to start consultants and CVs and all these things, right? All of those are going to happen later. But right now, we're going to keep it super simple because simple is good. And I want you to be able to make this happen for you. I want you to open your document. I want you to write down your 3 non-negotiables. The if this is not true, we are not doing it constraints that are necessary for you. Then I want you to pick 3 deal breakers. These are the hard no's. I cannot live without sort of situations. And then start thinking about visa lanes. Again, next week, we're going to talk in way more detail about visa lanes, but I want to get you started here. All right, my friend, if you're thinking this feels too simple, that's okay. That's good. We are trying to get it to be as simple as possible. That's what How to Move Abroad is all about, making things simple and straightforward so you can actually move. Next week, we're going to talk about, like I said, visa lanes for real, because they are hard for some people. They feel overwhelming. So I want you to know what they are, how to pick one, and how to stop planning a life you can't legally live in. Because once you have a lane, the rest gets easier. Countries narrow down, timelines get real, budgets make sense, and the panic volume totally drops. So that's our next week adventure. This week, though, pick your non-negotiables, pick your must-haves, and let's get moving you abroad. All right, my friend, I will see you next week. All right, friend, that's it for this episode. Do your weekly task while it's fresh so you don't forget and it doesn't end up on your back burner. If this episode helped, follow the show, please, on whatever platform you're listening on, and share it on Instagram so other people can find it too. If you tag me at I am Estelle on Instagram, I'll repost and I'll probably hype you up in your DMs like the emotionally supportive menace that I am. I'll see you next week, friend.